Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
I am going to be making a necklace today. Maybe a set of matching earrings. I've pre-chosen some beads that I want to use. It's actually a custom ordered piece by a close friend of the family for a Christmas present for a friend's daughter. I mean, it really starts off with, okay, so I want to use one of these, and I'll put it down and I'll go through each bin and kind of pick things out and have a pile, and then I subtract from it. So I'll usually start with a piece that I know I want to use, like a focal point, or maybe a really specific larger bead that I want to be really prominent within the piece. And I have all of my beads separated into kind of categories. The main thing I work with is stones. This is labradorite, this is moonstone, two of my favorite stones. So that's what I have the most of, and I have a lot of bins with just stones in them, and I try to keep them very organized. But I usually have everything kind of color coordinated throughout there. So then I'll start saying, okay, so I really want to use that. Well, what goes with this? And I'll go through all my stones, and the reason I have it in color order is because then I can say, okay, so I'm working with a brown tones right now. So I can say, well, here are my browns, and well, here's some whites that might go, and other things that I want to coordinate with that. I also have some antique and kind of vintage things. I always try and keep my eye out for kind of unique things, and they really, I think, complement what I do. I'm always learning new techniques. It's a big part of my passion for making jewelry. I've started learning enameling, and so I have that in my glass box here, so I make a lot of enamel pendants. I also have an entire bin of freshwater pearls, which come in a million different colors. I love freshwater pearls. They are really funky. Purple? That's so cool. I really like them because you can get some really wild colors, like, and hot pink. Another favorite of mine are the faceted freshwater pearls. These red ones are my favorite. This one is primarily bone, horn, and wood pieces. These coconut tusks are some of my favorite things. I have these large brown ones and black ones. When I find them, I usually go crazy and I buy all that I can get my hands on. When using a flexible beading wire, you can't tie a knot in it at all. So you use these little beads called crimp beads. Well, actually, this is a crimp tube. So, crimp bead on the wire. This is my link. This is the larger loop on the end of my link. And I'm going to strand that through. I take the end of my flexible beading wire and I run it back through my link. Like that. Then I'm going to pull my loose end and scoot it close to my beads. I'm actually going to run it through one of my beads. And then I just tug a little, get it nice and snug through my crimp bead, and a couple of the beads I have right at the end. That just adds a little extra strength to it. And zip. Nice and snug, but not too snug. Now that I have all my pieces connected, I have my focal point. So I start by making my link with my little tail. Before I wrap that, I have to make sure to connect it. So I have the start of my necklace here, and I just slide that link right on there into the loop. And now I can wrap. And I will do that for every link on this necklace. I do really hope the person I'm making this for likes it. If she doesn't, I'll try something else. Usually that doesn't happen. Well, we've come a long way with this piece. So I'm going to measure it right now and see how long it is. I don't have a clasp on here. It's about 15.5 inches. Generally a necklace that sits right at the base of the throat is 16 inches. I want this one to hang down a little bit more. So I'm going to have to add a few more links on each side, and then I'm going to attach my clasp. I remember being asked what you wanted to be when you grew up, and I said I wanted to be a jeweler. This piece is almost complete. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more wire wrap link to each side of the necklace, and when I do those, I'm going to be attaching my clasp. All right, I'm going to do the same thing and attach the ring of my clasp. So one last snip, one last little adjustment, and this piece is finished.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.